Hello, welcome to Pecan Corner. I'm Tina, and today I'm going to be making lamb's quarters pasta. I'm going to use the pasta like we would going to use spinach in making homemade noodles. These are lamb's quarters. It's the time of year when they're growing. They're growing next to my driveway, and kind of left them with the mower to let them grow a little bit so that I could make use of them. So I'm going to pick them and go in the house, and we're going to make sure. Okay, I've got these washed and dried them a little bit. They don't have to be dried because I'm going to cook them. But I'm going to now I could keep the stems on there because I'm actually just going to extract the color from them. But I normally, to cook them, I always pull the leaves off and leave the stems. The stems can be a little bit tough, and the leaves are plenty big enough that it's very easy to pull them off. All I'm going to do is simmer these in a little bit of water, and then I'm going to mash them up in my to extract the green color. That's the key to it. That's what you want when you're making pasta, because you want it to be really smooth. So you notice I pulled the tops where the leaves are the most tender and freshest. These have got a very nice flavor. They're a lot like a. All right, now then I'm just going to put some water in this, and I'm just going to simmer these for a little while, and then I'll be back. Well, it's been several days since I picked my lamb's quarters and cooked them. But I've stored them in the refrigerator, and now I'm going to turn them into pasta. And here's a finished product, a dried pasta with lamb's quarters in it. So I'll be right back and show you how. Okay, first off, we're going to make our pasta. I'm going to use barley flour. I'm using barley flour from Joseph's Granary, which is a whole grain barley flour. It's ground. It's grown and ground by the same people. So when you buy it, it comes from the. I thought that was pretty cool. And no, I'm not. They're not a sponsor or anything. I just now found their flour and I like it. I have sifted this flour to make it a little bit less rustic. Before I start on my flour, I'm going to work on my lamb's quarters. I've drained them. And I cooked them the other day, and you saw that. I forget, you just saw that about 30 seconds ago in the video. For me, it was 2 days ago. So I'm just going to mold these with my little mortar and pestle. You can whirl them in your blender, or if you've got something that you make smoothies in, you can whirl it in that. There we go. I want to get them pretty fine. And there it is, my strainer. I'm going to run them through the strainer here to get the rest of the. Just want color out of these, you know. I don't want stems and such. And this is exactly the same way you'd do if you were using spinach, which you can certainly use. But you know, we talk about all these wild foods, and we need to actually make use of them. And a lot of them, lamb's quarters is a great one to be able to use very effectively as a spinach. In anything that you do with spinach, you can use lamb's quarters in. It's not a bitter green at all, and it's very flavorful. So I'm just getting out some. Here we go. Getting out some of that that green chlorophyll. That's what we want, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah. The other thing about lamb's quarters is it's hard to, you know, I mean, once you know what it is, it's exactly what it is. It's real easy to find, and it stays around for a long time. You can keep picking the tender tops off of it. So it's not like some things that become suddenly too bitter to eat or too hard to eat. Let's drop a little dab of that in there just because. Okay, now then, there we go. Okay, let's set that over there. I don't want to use too awful much in a batch of this. With a half a cup of flour, I'd use about a quarter cup of water. So that's about maybe a quarter cup. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to use a half a cup of my flour. And I'll put the recipe down there. I'm kind of going at this a little bit backwards since I went ahead and just mashed this into my bowl. I wasn't thinking it's late. And so, in fact, I better mix this in another bowl first and then put it in there because I need to add my gluten to it. So, all right, here we go. This is the one I should have done my green stuffing in, huh? All right, now then, I'm going to use 1.5 tablespoons of Vital Wheat Gluten, and there's different brands of this, but I had originally bought this when I was baking wheat bread because adding a little bit of it just makes your bread a little bit better. So there's one, and a tablespoon is 3 teaspoons. So a half a tablespoon is 1 teaspoon and 1/2 teaspoon. There we go. And you can overdo it a little dab. Even if your dough gets a little bit rubbery feeling, that's okay. It's not going to hurt. Not going to hurt the final product once you make your pasta. And I'm going to use a half a teaspoon of salt. Okay. And just a little dab of oil. And I'm going to mix the oil with the I would use a teaspoon of it if I were using a cup of flour, so I just want a half a teaspoon. Here we go. And I'm going to mix that in with my green stuff. Whoops, too much. Don't want very much. I just want enough to take the place of the egg. You know, if you were making egg pasta, but I'm not making egg pasta. This can be dehydrated. This can be dried. Just lay it out after you get it made and dry it, and it'll keep indefinitely. It won't go bad, you know. So, all right, let's set that out of the way. Get everything out of the way. Okay, here we go. Now then, there we are. Now let's see if this is enough green stuff. Might need a little water. Let's get us a little water here. Just going to add our water a little dab at a time till we see how much we've got, how much we need. Oh, it's got a pretty color. There we go. Very pretty color. Okay. All right. Now then, now that this is all mixed up, I need to set it aside. And if you get it a little too wet, you can just add more barley flour. It won't hurt a thing. Just a little dab, you know, is all you'll need. And if it's way too wet, you just mix up some barley flour and gluten and add that to it. Add that mixture to it until it's right. But I think this is going to be fine. All right, now I'm going to let this sit for 30 minutes before I mess with it. Okay. Now then, put it back. It's feeling good. It doesn't feel. Whoops! I better turn this around so that I can see you guys. Starting to get dark here. Turn a little more light on. All right. Now then, let's just take part of this and start running it through our wheel, through our little machine. There we go. If you need a little more, you just drop a little. Just drop it in a little flour. That'll do it. It's no problem. Now let's just run it through. This makes such a pretty dough. There we go. A little bit more flour on there. There we go. And this I'm not going to try to make anything fancy out of. I'm just going to make it into like a fettuccine type pasta. But you could do other things if you wanted to. You can also make black pepper pasta. And you could add black pepper to this, and that would be really good. And to do that, if you wanted to, all you have to do is just sprinkle some on after the fact. And just kind of mash it down. And now we'll just run it through the mill here, and that pepper will just mash right into it. And there we have black pepper pasta. Black pepper and, whoops, there we go. Now I've set it to the next to the last place. Not quite the thinnest it'll do, but next to that. Because I think that's really all that I need. There we go. Give it a little bit of a stretch as I put it through. There we go. And that, there we are. Now then get a little bit more flour on there. All right, now let's run it through our fettuccine side. Let me lay out my cloth here so I can put this on it. And you can use this then in anything that you would use the spinach pasta in. You can use it with a tomato sauce. You can use it with an Alfredo sauce. You can, there we go. There we go. And you can make this with regular wheat flour, your regular homemade pasta dough, or your wheat egg noodle dough that you normally make. It doesn't have to be made with barley flour. So if you just do wheat flour, that's fine too. There we go. Look how pretty those are. I could hang these, I could drape them over my my drying rack and let them hang up to dry. But this is how we always did it. I would put a clean tablecloth on the table and lay all my egg noodles out on that to dry until I was ready to cook them. Now those were egg noodles, so I wasn't trying to dry them enough to save. I was just drying them for the day before I cooked them, like my great-grandmother did. That's how she taught me, that's how she did hers. But these I want to leave out long enough to dry completely, and then I can just put them in a bag and put them in the pantry, and they will still be good 5 years from now if I want to use them. So there we go. I hope that you all will enjoy your lamb's quarter pasta, and I thank you for stopping by, and I look forward to seeing you again. I'll talk to you again real soon.